What's happening, guys? Centralized Gaming here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a video about Affliction Warlocks as we head into the Shadowlands expansion. Launches in 9 days, and so I figured I'd try to share some information about what I'm feeling is going to be the most optimal choices for Covenants as far as PvP goes. Also, legendary choices, some builds, and some issues I see that are going to be coming our way as we head into Shadowlands. So let's jump into it. Right now, guys, bear with me. I had a lot of information that I tried to cover here in this video, so it's a pretty lengthy video. I did try to segment different things throughout the video, so if there's just a particular thing that you would like to look at or listen to, then go ahead and feel free to skip ahead. But again, just a heads up, super long video. So the first thing that I really wanted to talk about is the current state of Affliction Warlocks going into Shadowlands. So right now, Affliction Warlocks are looking really strong. However, Affliction Warlocks have been really struggling with survivability in arenas. I think Blizzard's kind of taking note of that, and here is a list of some of the changes that are coming to Affliction in the next patch that comes out here on Tuesday, the 17th. It looks like Affliction Warlocks are getting a buff to their demon armor for 60% increased armor. Hopefully that will help us stay alive a little bit longer against melees that seem to just get on you and beat the crap out of you. One of the big downfalls that Affliction Warlock has had in comparison to Destruction Warlock going into Shadowlands is, as you guys are probably aware, Destruction Warlock has always had chaotic energies. Essentially their mastery acts like a damage reduction. So as you have more increased mastery, not only do you deal more damage, but you take reduced damage. So that's why Destruction Warlocks have, in my opinion, quite a bit more survivability than Affliction Warlocks. So that's definitely an issue that Affliction Warlocks are going to have going into Shadowlands. However, hopefully the increased armor buff will help us out. Some other exciting changes. They're finally giving us Rapid Contagion. If you go to the current talent calculator for Affliction Warlocks and you try to select this as an option, it's currently not showing. However, Blizzard has disclosed that on the 17th they'll be releasing this change. Essentially, it's going to increase the occurrence of your dots by 50%. For the same cost of shards that it would be to use a death bolt. So that's an exciting potential PvP choice. Shadow Bolt's been buffed 13%. I don't really see that many people will run Shadow Bolt as Drained Soul. I really feel like it's going to be coming back in Shadowlands, especially for low health target sniping. With Shadow Embrace coming back at 58, understand that Drained Soul is also affected by this. You will be essentially getting 9% more damage out of your Drained Soul with this passive ability that Warlocks are going to be learning at 58. In addition to that, I'll cover here in a little bit, but some conduits are going to be buffing the amount of damage that we can get from this also. So some other quick cool changes listed here towards the top. Your Fel Domination now doesn't cost a shard to summon your pet, so immediately from activating Fel Domination you'll be able to summon your pet. Your Curse of Exhaustion is going to be giving us 4 seconds longer for that 50% reduction of speed. Players that are now affected with Howl of Terror can take more damage before they come out of that fear. So that's exciting. Dark Pack got a buff by 80%. A little bit more shielding there. So overall, some things here to try to help, I think, a little bit the survivability of Affliction Warlocks. Obviously, Warlocks aren't the most mobile class. However, having this 50% speed reduction by 12 seconds now, in addition to having Demonic Circle and your Gate and some other things I'm going to talk about, hopefully we're going to be able to have a little bit more survivability, as well as do a little bit better at kiting melees in the arena. Right now, going into Shadowlands, Affliction Warlock is rated to be one of the hardest specs to play. If you haven't seen this video by SupaTease, I would suggest watching it. I'll link the URL in the description of my video. Essentially, he talks about how difficult it is for Affliction Warlocks in the arena to essentially do everything that they need to do to be able to do damage. Essentially talks about how Affliction Warlocks are going to be global capped the entire time they're in an arena. So making sure that you're always doing something, whether that's a fear or a dot or an interrupt, knowing what to interrupt, trying to move around, stay alive. He essentially puts out a list of the range DPS tier in a PvP setting and how hard they are to play, and he rates Affliction and Demonology as probably the two hardest right now. Granted, that could change. The game still isn't out, and even when it does come out, I'm sure Blizzard will adopt some changes in their patches that may influence this. But keep in mind, if you're new to Warlock, or you've just kind of seen some people playing Affliction Warlock and that's something that intrigues you and you want to start playing it to get good at arenas and have fun in PvP with them, just understand that the learning curve for this specialization is a high skill capped learning curve. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about is covenants. Selecting a covenant as we go into Shadowlands. Obviously, you'll be questing from 50 to 60 in the new Shadowland areas, and after questing through the different areas, you'll have the option to select the covenant to play and to kind of bind yourself to, in a sense, to gain a series of various abilities and traits to help better your character in the game. As far as PvP goes, I'm kind of ranking which covenants I feel are going to be the best and the worst. I really believe that you can PvP with any covenant choice that you want. If you being a, let's say, necromancing warlock or necrolord warlock is something that your heart is set on, I feel like you can still excel at PvP. However, I do feel like there are certain covenants that will give you an edge. Jumping into covenants, I'd like to start with the Night Fae. As far as effectiveness in PvP, I've rated them as number 4. Essentially, bear with me as this is going to take some time to kind of delve through this, but essentially every covenant right now has 3 different kind of vendors or soul bind controllers that you are able to go to and select various things with to help build your character the way that you want. As far as the Night Fae has, they have these 3 here, Kyrian, Dreamweaver, and Naya, which all offer different things for your character. The overall abilities that are given by each covenant is the same no matter which of the 3 that you select. So for Night Fae as a Warlock, you're going to be receiving an ability called Soul Rot. Essentially, it's a mass dot that you can put out on people that causes them to take a little bit more damage, and it also impacts or drain life to drain life from everyone that has Soul Rot on them. So I've seen some fun plays with this. I feel like it could be really fun probably in a battleground. As far as an arena goes, you're limited to 3 targets if you're playing 3s. I guess if you're doing 5s, you could try this out. I don't feel like it's as strong as the other class abilities that you get from covenants. Mainly, it's kind of more of like an appearance thing. It looks cool, kind of a Gul'dan type themed ability. So Soul Shape is a 1.5 minute cooldown ability that teleports you. So essentially, it's kind of like a blink, and it also turns you into like a little fox. You run around for 12 seconds, and then you wait to be able to reactivate it again for another 1.5 minutes. So it's a little speed increase. While you're in it, you can keep teleporting, it looks like, by reactivating it while you're in the actual form. So that's cool. Like I said earlier, Warlocks don't really have a lot of mobility, so this is an option that you could choose to increase your ability in the arena. However, I feel like the conduits and things don't really make these worth it, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about those with you now. So if you're heart set on playing Night Fae and you're going with Kyrian, you can elect to pick Wild Hunt tactics. Essentially, you're going to be doing more damage to people that are at higher health. Also getting a little bit of movement speed for 5 seconds. This would probably be the option I would go with for increased movement speed of allies. Moving down here, I don't really feel like any of these three are pertinent to PvP. This one requires that you stand still. You often don't stand still in arenas. The other two, I would say, are kind of just garbage. So, if you elect to go with Dreamweaver, she could be potentially good in the aspect that she can heal you for a while. If you're taking damage that would kill you, you instead heal or gaining 30% of your health. However, if you take the amount of damage that is required to break the seed that she puts on you, then you die anyway. So this effect can only occur once every 10 minutes. So that's kind of her main ability there. This is Soothing Voice. When your roots, stuns, and incapacitating class effects expire or are dispelled, your target's movement speed is reduced by 90%, decaying rapidly over 2 seconds. So I think the time on that's much too short to have any real value in PvP. Maybe if it was like 10 seconds of 90% reduced speed, that could be really good, but it's not. It's 2. So this could be alright. When at least 2 allies are within 8 yards, your versatility increases by 3% for 5 seconds. When this expires, 2 nearby allies gain 33% of this effect for 5 seconds. So obviously versatility is the main kind of stat going into PvP, as it's going to be keeping you alive and helping reduce the damage that you do. So I'd imagine that would compound with all of your other versatility increasing abilities. 10% of your overall healing received or done remains as a shield on the target up to 10% of the caster's health. So I would probably, if I was going down this list, I would select the middle one here for the extra versatility. This is for falling damage, which is not pertinent to PvP really. Neither is that. So that could be okay. Activating your Night Fae class ability puts flowers at your feet for 15 seconds that increase your haste by 12% while you stand with them. So essentially you're going to use Soul Rot, and once you do that, you're going to have flowers that come down on your feet, and you're going to get an increase of 12% haste, so allowing your drain life to be casted quicker and all of your dots to be ticking faster. So that could be an alright choice if you're deciding to play Night Fae. So Naya here, she offers healing or dealing damage, has a chance to grant you a stack of redirected anima. Redirected anima increase your maximum health by 1%, your mastery by 25 for 30, and stacks overlap. So essentially you're going to get a little bit more health, and your mastery is going to go up. There's your Soul Shapes cooldown ability, so that's what this is. Essentially reduced it by 15 seconds. And every time you kill an enemy, you get a second off, which isn't really pertinent in PvP other than having that on a minute and 15-second cooldown other than a full minute and a half. So now this could be really good. Run without tiring. While in Soul Shape, you generate 5% of your maximum health every 3 seconds. Essentially, you're going to be getting a heal. Keep in mind this only lasts 12 seconds, so you're going to get 4 procs during that time for a 5% health, so you're going to be able to get up to 20% health by having this. It's a 20% heal, so that could be good. So moving on down the list, you're going to be having probably the best of these three, I would say. It's either going to be Naya's Tools or Naya's Poison. So Burrs or Poison, Naya Tools Poison, or Naya Tools Burrs. This one's going to essentially reduce their speed. This one is going to do more damage to the individual that you're attacking. So overall, I would say Night Fae probably isn't the best choice for PvP. That's just my opinion. That's why I've ranked them at 4. They have some things that could work. I don't feel like Soul Rot and the 12 seconds you get out of this every minute and a half is worth selecting Night Fae to try to get an advantage in PvP. Moving on to rank 3, I'm ranking Necrolord as a rank 3 option for Warlock. Essentially, their overall abilities include Decimating Bolt, hurling a bolt that does some decent amount of damage. And then this is worded as increasing damage of your next 3 either incinerates if you're playing Destruction, or Drain Soul if you're playing Affliction, which pertains to this particular video. However, that was changed to just one use. So if you use Decimating Bolt, it's going to increase the damage of your Drain Soul by 100%. And I could be wrong, but I believe it used to be 300%. So Necrolord looked really good at the beginning of pretty much beta, and Blizzard nerfed the crap out of it. So they've kind of gutted it. Fleshcraft, however, looks like it could be good in PvP. You're getting a 20% of your maximum health buff or shield that stays on you for two minutes. It's a 4-second channel. So essentially, going into an arena, you're going to have a shield around you. As far as these 3 individuals that you can choose to run your soulbinds through, really, this guy here, Bonesmith, Hymir, it's all really PvE related. If you die, your armor keeps fighting, get hit by melee, so it's kind of like burrs on you, I guess, that do damage to people that are attacking you. Defeating an enemy reduces your fleshcraft cooldown. If you're in an arena, you're not really killing people a bunch. If you are, then you're going to win soon afterward anyway. Defeating an enemy again, so it'll heal you, which isn't a super strong heal anyway. Critical strikes, this guy could be good. I feel like if your class prioritizes crit, but I feel like as a Warlock you're going to want haste and versatility anyway in a PvP setting, so I don't feel like that's a good option. And then this one is a 5-second 35% hate or movement speed increase if you're damaging someone below 35% health. So there's other options that give you more movement speed that I feel are better than this one here. So I don't feel like this guy is definitely not a good choice to go for a PvP setting. M&E here, he has okay options. This one's alright. Activating your Necrolord class ability, so either Decimating Bolt or your Fleshcraft, gives you stat increases pretty much. This is cool. You can channel Fleshcraft while moving, so if you're running around an arena, you can choose this and it'll let you pretty much cast that while you're running. Or you could go with this one, which makes it to where you get an extra 5%, but it's only 30 seconds, so that can wear off. At the start of an arena though, again, you're going to have 5% increased health. These two, that's falling damage, and this has to do with your Hearth Kidney Stone. So it's another Hearth Stone that they give you, it looks like. So this one, movement speed increase for 3% for every nearby enemy, up to 15%. I feel like that could be alright in like a Mythic Plus setting, if you're able to run through the Mythic Plus quicker. But in arenas, the most you're going to get out of that is 9%, so not that beneficial. And then again, this is after defeating an enemy, which you're not killing a bunch of things in an arena. That's more of a PvE thing. This could be alright, if you're getting attacked and your health goes below 20%, you fear nearby enemies for 4.5 seconds. It can only happen once a minute. But I feel like there's better choices than Sulfuric Emission. So this guy here, if I was to play PvP as a Necrolord Warlock in the Affliction spec, I would probably choose him for these reasons. So this isn't really pertinent here, the first one. However, this is a really awesome ability. When reduced below 50% health, Ooze covers over you, granting you a shield for 15% of your maximum health for 10 seconds. And that can occur twice a minute. So pretty much you're getting a lot more survivability with this. This is one that requires you to stand still, so I don't feel like that's really good. This one here, your first attack or spell cast on enemy increases your damage done to them by 10% for 10 seconds. So as an Affliction Warlock, you're pretty much getting 10% dot damage on one guy. As you read it, it says limit 1. So you're dotting everyone, and it's only going to, that buff is only going to be applicative to one person that you're dotting. So I feel like the Ooze frictionless coating is the option here. So these two are PvE related or just kind of convenience related. And then this one here, while channeling Fleshcraft, you are immune to crowd control and you regenerate 2% health every 1 second. If you finish the full channel, you gain 4 seconds of crowd control immunity, during which you regenerate 2% health every 1 second. So that's pretty good. And as you can see, Fleshcraft is your pretty much shield that shields you for 20% of your max health. You're able to use it once every 2 minutes. And this here essentially says that while you're using it, you can't be crowd controlled. So it heals you, it shields you, and it makes you immune to crowd control. So pretty strong for the Necrolord choice in a PvP setting. So moving on to choice number 2, I have Kyrian. This was really hard for me. I feel like Kyrian and Venthyr are really close in how well they're going to be doing in arenas and PvP settings, and I won't be surprised if we see a lot of Kyrian Warlocks in the arena. However, I'll explain why I feel Venthyr has a slight edge above Kyrian. So to start with their initial ability that they give Warlocks, they give them Scouring Tithe. Essentially, it's another dot for 18 seconds. If whoever you put it on dies, the dot refreshes and you generate 5 shards. So super strong here. It does compound with Malefic Rapture, so having this on here increases your Malefic Rapture damage. It's on a 40-second cooldown, so every 40 seconds you're able to cast it, and it is a 2-second cast, and essentially you'll have an additional dot for 18 seconds. So Summon Steward, this essentially has a vial given to you that you can use to restore 20% health, and it removes curses, disease, poisons, and bleed effects. So it could be really strong against rogues. It says that your steward additionally offers access to selection of useful amenities for 4 minutes, so that's not really pertinent in arena or PvP setting, but the rest of it definitely is. So as far as the individuals that you are allowed to run your conduits through, right now I want to talk about Pelagos a little bit. Right now he's kind of the #1 go-to soulbind controller in the game for all classes and specs. Blizzard actually just put out a I guess informational potential nerf for him. They talk about how of all the classes and specs in the game right now, 43 of them are suggested to be best by using Kyrian, and Pelagos is suggested to be potentially the best one. Reason being is that most classes give you 2 potency slots and 1 throughput trait, or 1 potency slot and 2 throughput traits. However, Pelagos offers you more. So it says, unlike any other soulbinds, Pelagos offers a path with 2 throughput. Okay, these 2 different abilities. One being activating your Kyrian class ability increases your mastery by 350 for 10 seconds, and using the speller ability increases your versatility. So essentially you're getting a lot of mastery, a lot of versatility, plus you have your 2 potency conduits. So in telling it, it says a 33% advantage of its own. So by going with him, you're getting additional abilities in addition to additional soulbinds and conduits. So really strong. Keep in mind, however, that Blizzard's aware of this, and I doubt that Pelagos will stay this strong. I think that they will most likely nerf him in the coming month. So moving back to the other choice that I would choose if playing Kyrian is actually this individual here. He has some things that kind of intrigue me with a PvP mindset, but I understand that they're just too optional. So the first thing is, after using 90 damaging abilities or healing spells, your next speller ability summons a Brawn who knocks enemies back and then attacks them for 30 seconds. So you're constantly reapplying dots as an Affliction Warlock. I feel like you could get to this 90 fairly quickly, and it pretty much summons a guy that's going to keep attacking people for you. So moving down, you can choose one of these 2 things. When you use your Vial of Serenity, you're going to have people knocked away from you. This is if you reduce below 35% health, you automatically heal through that vial, and it consumes 1 charge. So kind of nice there. This is fall damage. This is relating to armor durability, so that you can repair your armor less. Moving down to these, after 5 seconds of standing still, incoming stuns and incapacitated durations are reduced by 30%. Lasts for 5 seconds once you start moving. So this could be really good. However, it does require you to stand still. But it's nice that it continues to last for 5 seconds once you move again. So that could be really good again against rogues, right? Reducing the stun durations by 30%, in addition to being able to use this to remove all curses and diseases and poisons and bleeds. So Kyrian looks like really good to help counter against rogues. This ability here, damaging an enemy, grants you 3% haste for 10 seconds up to 5 stacks. So huge haste increase. There, I don't, it has a 40-yard range, and I'm not sure if the way that it's worded, if it's just a passive that you can just continue to have the entire game, or how exactly that feature works there. And then this one, when reduced below 35% health, you stun nearby enemies for 3 seconds. So, and that can occur every 45 seconds. So, moving on to Clea here. She gives you balanced strikes. Essentially, you can get some healing if someone around you drops below 50% health. You can get up to 40 of these strikes. You consume them to heal for 1% of their maximum health per stack. So if you're a healer, this could be good. I don't know that it would be really good for an Affliction Warlock. But moving down to the other 2, if you're above 90% health, you increase nearby party members' health. That sucks. This could be okay. This makes you immune for an additional 8 seconds for any kind of curse, disease, or poison or bleed effect if you use your vial. That is 5 seconds out of combat. That's not pertinent. And then if you're above 90% health, your mount speed's going to be quicker. This here, you could slow people more by doing damage to them. 1.5 procs per minute, so it'll happen once. So 20-second slow for 45% speed. I feel like with Curse of Exhaustion on the legendary, I'll go over here in a second, this just isn't really valuable. Chance to critically strike is increased by 1% for every enemy, or for every nearby enemy or ally up to 8%. So that's maybe 5%, 6% extra crit. Again, I feel like haste versatility is more important for Warlocks. And then this one, when receiving healing while above 70% health, or healing an ally that's above 70% health, 4% of the healing done is repeated on the target. So again, kind of a healing oriented ability there. So if I was to choose between the three, given what's probably going to happen to Pelagos and the options that are available through Forge Light Prime here, I would probably choose him. Scouring Tithe is estimated to be probably the most DPS impacting Covenant ability right now, especially for Mythic Plus and rating. So keep in mind that a lot of people that you're hoping to do dungeons with and raiding with are probably going to be looking at your Covenant choice and seeing as a Warlock if you're, which kind of Warlock you are. Are you a Kyrian Warlock? Are you Necrolord Warlock? Are you Venthyr? And judging your ability to output damage based on your Covenant choice. I'll kind of talk about that again here in a little bit. That's kind of one of my concerns. But I do feel like Kyrian could be a strong choice for PvP based on what I've shared, especially against rogue comps. I feel like this has a lot of potential. But with all of that being said, I still feel like Venthyr is number one. So moving on to my number one choice, Venthyr here. I feel like Venthyr has some awesome PvP oriented soul conduits and abilities for Warlocks. And to start, I'd like to say that in viewing these three, really Nagia is the go-to for PvP conduits and soul binds as an Affliction Warlock. If you haven't looked this over, I'll go over these real fast with you. General Draven, if you take damage below 40% health, damage taken below 40% health is reduced by 10%. Upon death, you leave a stone husk behind, which shatters after 3 seconds. So, yeah, if you're dying in an arena, then your team's probably already lost. When a nearby ally gains temporary increased movement speed, you also gain the benefit up to 30%. So that could be okay, depending on who you're playing with. Like if a rogue uses sprint, then you would also have an increased movement speed. Door of Shadow grants you a shield that absorbs damage equal to 15% of your maximum health. So really quick, I failed to mention what the abilities are for Warlocks that Venthyr offer. The first is Impending Catastrophe. Essentially, it's a 1-minute cooldown, 2-second cast ability that Warlocks use that summons a cool red-looking cloud, travels towards enemies or players, and when it hits them, it explodes, inflicting a curse to the enemy and then does damage over time. So I've been told, and from watching videos, that the curse that it applies to the target is now it's been smart fixed. So before it was like putting Curse of Weakness on like casters and Curse of Tongue on melee players and things like that, but now it's actually doing what it should be doing. So it's 105% of your spell power is the damage that's going to be inflicted. That did get nerfed quite a bit. It used to be quite a bit higher. However, it does also count with Malefic Rapture. So spamming Malefic Rapture with this on it and all your other dots is going to continue to compound the damage. So the main thing here, though, is the Door of Shadows. Door of Shadows is essentially a 1-minute teleport. It's a 1.5 second cast. So you can click or use this ability and click essentially where you want to teleport to within 35 yards. So just adding more mobility to Warlocks in addition to their Demonic Circle and their Gate. This will be very helpful in getting away from people and setting up kills and things like that. So moving back to the abilities here from General Draven, unbreakable body. Essentially, you're not having to repair as much if you die. This one here, leaving a resting area, increases your amount of speed by 10% when you're out of combat. Regeneration is increased by 100%. So you heal more when you're out of combat. You have a quicker amount when you're leaving rested areas. So PvE oriented, standing still for at least 4 seconds grants you 10% increased stamina and 4% increased healing done. This effect persists for 6 seconds after you start moving. So requires you to stand still. Yeah, it does persist for 6 seconds after you start moving. Kind of similar to the Kyrian ability of having stun reduction. This one just gives you more health and it increases your healing done. That could be better for healers. I don't feel like it's good for Affliction Warlocks. This is successfully interrupting an enemy or dispelling an ally, increases your critical strike chance by 10% for 10 seconds. I don't feel like crit is an important stat to have as an Affliction Warlock. I feel like, again, haste burst is going to be better. And this, while you are above 80% health, you gain 1% primary stat every 3 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. So I don't feel like this is very good, especially as Affliction Warlock. You're usually going to be the kill target, so you're rarely above 80% health. So moving up to Theatar the Mad Duke. This guy, you're able to get a proc per minute, which essentially when you're using the spells, they have a chance to call Tubbins and Gubbins to your side. And you standing in their shaded area grants you a ton of mastery. So if you were Destruction and wanted to play Venthyr, I feel like this could be a really good ability or a good guy to go with to have the increased mastery for your increased damage and damage reduction, but as an Affliction, I don't feel like it's very good. So Door of Shadows frees you from roots and snares. That could be really good. If you get rooted, you can Door of Shadows and it will clear it and move you away. This one now has 2 charges, but its cooldown is increased by 30% or 30 seconds. So it's now a minute and a half, and you have 2 charges. So instead of only being able to use it once every minute, you can now use it once every 45 seconds. So that could be really good. During the Ember Court, your guests gain additional happiness for each event completed. So that has to do with your like your actual covenant, building up your covenant and renown and all that stuff. So and then this has to do with herbs and other things as you kill them, getting extra stuff. So convenience things. Down here we got Wasteland Propriety. Activating your Venthyr class ability signals the start of tea time, granting 6% versatility to you and 3% versatility to up to 4% allies. Last 10 seconds. So when you use your Impending Catastrophe, you're going to get this, which gives all of you more versatility. That could be alright. The effects of combat potions last 100% to 200% longer. That could be good in Battlegrounds, but I don't believe there's any combat potions that are usable in arenas. So not pertinent for arenas. And then this is a shield, it looks like. Grant a shield that absorbs attack power and versatility, damage to allies who aid you with healing or beneficial magic effects. You only shield each ally once every 20 seconds. So yeah, as far as the Mad Duke goes, I feel like both General Draven and the Mad Duke probably aren't the best choices out of the Venthyr for PvP. Now Nadia here, she has some awesome stuff that I wanted to go over with you guys. And this is actually the build and covenant choice that I'm planning on playing in Shadowlands once it launches. So starting up top, Thrill Seeker. While in combat, you gain a stack of Thrill Seeker every 2 seconds or 4 stacks on killing an enemy. At 40 stacks, Thrill Seeker is consumed to grant you Euphoria, increasing your haste by 20% for 10 seconds. So Thrill Seeker decays rapidly while you're not in combat. Essentially, you're getting a stack or every 2 seconds. So after 40 stacks, you get this. So about every 40 seconds, for 10 seconds, you're going to have a 20% haste increase. If you kill someone, then you're going to get that in a little bit shorter time, maybe 36 seconds. But 20% haste increase, super strong. Your first options here, you can either go with damage or more of a shielding choice of conduit. And one thing that I failed to mention that I'll discuss now is that when it comes to conduits and soulbinds. For the most part, you're going to be using the same conduits no matter the covenant you play. Whether you play Venthyr or Kyrian or any of them, the Focus Malignancy and Cold Embrace and the majority of them are going to be available to each covenant. So now some covenants do have their own conduits or soulbinds that you can buy through them. Like this one here is a Venthyr specific one. I believe the Kyrian have like Soul Tithe here. That's a Kyrian specific soulbind. So there are some options in what you can play depending on the covenant that you're playing. However, for me, myself, I feel like the ones that I'll be maining are the same across each covenant. In this first option here for damage, it kind of gives you the choice of choosing which of the damaging conduits you want to use. So I've kind of looked them over. I feel like I'm going to be choosing Cold Embrace for the 75% potential increased damage to Cold Embrace, for the reason being that you can have this stacking up to 3 times and it compounds with Drain Soul, and I'm hoping that this essentially is going to enable Affliction Warlocks the ability to have some mad finishing potential as far as getting people low in the arena, and then using Drain Soul with everything compounding to just finish people off. So really have high hopes for this. So this is really good. Agent of Chaos, your Door of Shadows disorients all nearby enemies at the target location for 6 seconds when you appear. That's going to be awesome as far as teleporting into people and having them get disoriented for 6 seconds. This here is going to be one of your finesse conduit slots, which I didn't really show on any of the other covenants, but from what I've seen, I think the best options are either going to be this one here. So teleporting with Demonic Circle increases your movement speed all the way up to 72%. So that's kind of what I was talking about as far as like all of the different abilities that all the different covenant people were offering to increase your movement speed. If you really want movement speed that bad, you can just run Demonic Momentum and get up to 72% increased movement speed every time you teleport. That's pretty strong. However, I think for me, myself, I would rather have my fear become a stun, which is essentially what's happening with Shade of Terror. So your fear effects can withstand 170% more damage before breaking at rank 15. So if you're able to rank that all the way up, you dot the hell out of someone, you fear them, your dots aren't going to break them out of fear. They're just going to keep running with all the damage on them. So that's super good. This here, it's a convenience thing for your covenant. This is your kind of shielding type or survivability type conduit here. And I feel like Resolute Barrier of the 3 is going to be the best. So that's increasing your drain life healing. This is giving you more leech if people are using soul stone, or excuse me, health stones in your party. And this is reducing the cooldown of your Unending Resolve. So for a potential of 42%, or excuse me, 42 seconds removed off of the cooldown. So that's really good there. Of the bottom 3, she has Dauntless Duelist. The first enemy you damage in combat is marked as your adversary. You deal 3% more damage to them, and they deal 1.5% less damage to you. Similar to that other one that I talked about from the Necrolord, I believe it was. Plagueis Primitive Strike. So again, your first attack or spell cast on an enemy, increase your damage done to them by 10%, limit to 1. Yeah, again, Warlocks are dotting everyone, so it's only to move one target that this actually gives you an increased amount of damage on. Exacting Preparation, the benefits of Well-Fed, Flask, and Weapon enchant effects are increased by 20%. So that's something to pay attention to. Weapon enchant effects. If you're using a weapon enchant that's giving you a large amount of versatility, you're essentially going to get 20% more from that enchant. So that could be really good. The Well-Fed and Flask, I feel like, is more for PvE. But this here, Familiar Predicaments, the duration of incoming interrupt, snare, and root effects are reduced by 25%. This will be the one that I go with. Having a 25% reduction to all interrupts, snares, and roots is huge. Essentially, every interrupt that lasts for 6 seconds is only going to last for 4.5 seconds. So, super strong PvP talent here. Again, going with the different soul binds here, I feel like Focus Malignancy is going to be your best choice as far as damage output. So this is my suggested Covenant build heading into Shadowlands. As far as I'm seeing things right now, this is what I'll be running on my Afflock. If you are interested, or you feel like maybe this could be good for you too, I'll copy the link down in the description of the video. But essentially, these things here and the different abilities that Nagia offers, in addition to having the Door of Shadows and the extra dot with curses automatically applying and saving you up to 3 global cooldowns with this one ability, I feel is super strong for PvP and the best of the 4 Covenant options. However, keep in mind again, this is Venthyr, and this Covenant does not exactly enable Affliction Warlocks to be the best in a PvE setting. So the next thing I want to talk about real quick are legendary artifacts going into Shadowlands, which powers I'm thinking are going to be the best for PvP and why. So if you haven't taken the time to research these, I suggest doing that now. Some of these legendaries, I've been informed, require certain reputations, and if that's the case, you're going to be wanting to do the dailies for those legendaries as soon as you can to get that reputation. So starting at the top here, this is quickly just general, any spec Warlock can get either of these legendaries here. I'm not going to spend too much time on these. I feel like in a PvP aspect, Pillars of the Dark Portal could be alright. Essentially, your Demonic Gateway is instant cast, and the first time you use it, it doesn't trigger your cooldown, so you can gate twice in an arena. And as you are using it, anyone in the way is knocked away from you. So this one here could be potentially strong in more of a PvE setting, I guess. It's a reduction of your Dark Glare every time you spend a shard. So kind of like the Vision of Perfection for Infernals and BFA, this reduces the cooldown of your summoned Dark Glare every time you spend a shard. So moving down to our spec-specific legendaries, Malefic Wrath. Malefic Rapture increases the damage of your Drained Soul by 25% for 8 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So earlier I mentioned hopefully Affliction Warlocks coming in with the different conduit choices and things with a super finish potential. This legendary here could help contribute to that. I feel like this would be the legendary choice to go with if you're playing with maybe like a Frost Mage or perhaps a Death Knight or something that will help snare and slow melee players in the arena that may be training you for you to be able to do increased damage. If you're not playing with a target that has additional snares and things to help slow people that you're fighting, I would suggest that you would run this legendary here. Essentially, your Corruption's now doing more damage, and it's a slow for 50%, which stacks with your Exhaustion. So if you're fighting melee players, you're able to put this on them, then your Curse of Exhaustion for 12 seconds, and that individual is going to be running at 100% slower speed with your Door of Shadows and your Gate and Demonic Circle. I'm really hoping that that's enough to keep players away from you long enough for you to be able to cast Spheres and Malefic Raptures and actually do damage. So this one here could be okay. That's essentially just giving you more shards to spend. But I think of these 4 here, The Malefic Wrath and this Sacrilash's Dark Strike are going to be the best. And this one requires you to kill people. So I would either go this one or this one, depending on if you need the extra slow or if you have a teammate that can help snare and slow people that you're fighting. So understanding where you need to get these is important as well. So if you're wanting to use the Dark Pillars of the Dark Portal for the extra gating, you can get that from the PvP Honor vendor, super easy. It looks like the Sacrilash's Dark Strike for the Corruption Slow is going to be coming out of Torghast. And the Malefic Wrath legendary is going to be part of the raid. So for me, myself, my plan is to get the Sacrilash's Dark Strike first. I'll be farming and doing Torghast as an effort to get the recipe to get this legendary so that I can start slowing people that I'm fighting in the arena and dealing more damage through my corruption. Alright guys, so now I wanted to talk about some of the concerns I have for Affliction Warlocks going into Shadowlands and some of the worries that I have. Essentially the real worries I have is basically it comes down to gearing. If you haven't been following gearing for PvP in Shadowlands, it's absolutely broken. So Stoopz TV is a YouTube channel. He makes a great video. I will also link the URL for that in the description of my video. But essentially he tells us that in order to get full PvP honor gear, you're going to be playing almost 90 hours worth of Battlegrounds. Blizzard also decided to put a time gate on upgrading your PvP gear to 7 weeks after the game comes out. So you'll have to get your renown to a certain level, and once your renown is that level, you can start upgrading your Battleground gear. The game comes out in 9 days on the 23rd. So essentially, it's wanting you to wait until January 11th to be able to upgrade your gear to a 197 level. So, that's horrible. Just to give you an idea, the 8th of December is when the Mythic season launches, and you can see here that a Mythic 3 end of dungeon is a 190 piece. So essentially by running Mythic 6s for 197 gear, you're going to be getting the same gear that you would be spending 7 weeks to get 197 gear out of Battlegrounds. So gearing through PvP means in Shadowlands at this point really isn't an option. I think it would take way too long, and I essentially think that you're going to be gearing all the way up until middle of January if you're doing just Battlegrounds to get gear that people will have probably by Christmas by just doing Mythics. So my suggestion for the first week of Shadowlands is start doing your normal dungeons, then getting into heroic dungeons, and then queuing for Mythic Zeros and trying to get gear that way. Once the season starts on December 8th, hopefully through doing arenas, you can get your weekly chests, and then also you're going to have to be doing Mythics and climbing the Mythic levels to continue to gear. Unless they fix the PvP system as it is, those are going to be the best ways to gear. So that's my biggest concern with Shadowlands right now in PvP, is the gearing system is totally broken. And with that being said, you're really going to have to be part of a good guild or have a good friend group to be able to do Mythics, because if you're playing a Venthyr Warlock like I will be for PvP optimization, I doubt that, you know, a lot of pugs are going to want you to join their group. So I could be wrong with that, but having a guild that's willing to take you in and run Mythics with you and things like that, or friends, that's going to be a lot better way to gear. Alright guys, that's pretty much my wrap on going into Shadowlands as an Affliction Warlock. Thanks for watching. I know that video was extremely long. I tried to provide as much information as I could about the different covenants and about the different options I feel that are going to help you as an Affliction Warlock player to optimize yourself. If you have any questions for me, feel free to ask. Any suggestions or any critiques, I'm happy to hear them. I'm really excited for Shadowlands. I think it's going to be a great expansion. I really wish Blizzard would put some more love towards the PvP community, but that's kind of hasn't been the case for a few expansions now. But we'll see what happens as the expansion opens and as things continue to play on. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.